Today's story is Flat Stanley. Show and tell, Flat Stanley. Stanley Lambchop lived with his mother, his father, and his little brother Arthur. Stanley was 4 feet tall, about a foot wide, and half an inch thick. He had been flat ever since a bulletin board fell on him. Stanley's family was used to him being flat. They didn't think much about it, except when Mrs. Lambchop needs to clean behind the fridge, or when Mr. Lambchop forgot his house key, which happened quite a bit. To the Lambchops, Stanley was perfectly normal. That's why Stanley was surprised when Arthur asked, "Can I take you to show and tell?" Stanley frowned. "You mean because I'm so good at wiggling your ears," said Arthur. "Miss Plum really wants to see it." "Oh," said Stanley. "Sure, if Miss Plum said so." Stanley felt his face turning pink. It always turned pink when Miss Plum's name came up. Miss Plum was the prettiest teacher in the whole school. "Thanks, Stanley," said Arthur. "No problem," said Stanley. "That's what brothers are for." Arthur smiled at himself. He knew the real reason Stanley was going to show and tell, but he didn't say a word. At school, Arthur's classmates took turns showing and telling. Sophie showed her mouse Squeakers. "He just loves cheese," she said. Manny held up his grandpa's false teeth. "My grandpa loves cheese, too." Arthur introduced Stanley, who wiggled his ears like crazy. "My goodness," said Miss Plum. "Today I have something for show and tell, too." Miss Plum asked shyly. She held out her left hand. A big ring sparkled on her finger. "I'm getting married," said Miss Plum. Stanley felt his heart sink. "Miss Plum? Married?" The other kids jumped up and crowded around to look at Miss Plum's ring. "Let me see," said Sophie. She bumped into Manny. Squeaker slipped out of hands. "Ouch!" said Manny. "Watch it!" He dropped his grandpa's teeth. The false teeth bounced twice, then clamped onto Squeaker's tail. "Weak!" squeaked Squeakers. He took off running. "Oh dear!" cried Miss Plum. She reached out to grab Squeakers, and her new ring flew off her finger. To Stanley, the ring seemed to move in slow motion. He watched it sail toward Squeakers and fell straight down on Mouse's head, where it landed like a sparkly collar around his neck. Poor Squeaker squeaked again and ran and faster. He zipped across the classroom, scampered up the bookcase, and vanished through the crack in the ceiling tile. "My mouse!" cried Sophie. "My grandpa's teeth!" cried Manny. "My ring!" cried Miss Plum. Stanley stood up. "I'll save you, Miss Plum. I'll save you ring and Squeakers and the teeth." Stanley reached the spot where Squeakers had vanished. "Arthur," he said, "that crack in the ceiling is like our window at home. Give me a boost." "On the count of 3, said Arthur. 1, 2, 3. With a grunt, Arthur pushed Stanley high over his head, just as he had a dozen times before. Mr. Lambchop really did forget his keys a lot. Stanley slid through a crack. "I see Squeakers!" Stanley yelled. "Come here, boy, come on!" Below, the students heard crashing and thrashing as Stanley chased the mouse over their heads. "Go, Stanley, go!" yelled Manny. "It's no use," Stanley said, panting. "He's too fast." And Arthur thought of something. "Sophie, where's Squeaker's cheese?" "Right here," she said. Arthur grabbed a slice and flung it through the crack. "Stanley, try this." The thrashing stopped. Then the class saw Stanley's arm poke through the ceiling crack. Squeaker sat on his head, happily nibbling cheese. Stanley's other arm poked out. The false teeth and the ring dangled from his fingers. Last of all came Stanley himself, stretching out of the crack like a boy-sized strip of taffy. "Oh, Stanley," said Miss Plum as he stable on the ground. "You're my hero." She gave Stanley a big hug. Stanley felt his face turn pink, bright pink. "What's wrong with Stanley?" asked Sophie. Arthur grinned. His face always turned pink then Arthur stopped. He looked at Stanley. "And he's been wiggling his ears," he said. "Thanks, Arthur," whispered Stanley. "No problem," said Arthur. That's what brothers are for. The end.